I'm not going to lie, I don't even really want to look at the calendar right now because, like, I know I'm behind on a lot of things, and music news, I feel like, is just slow, or at least I'm not catching anything when I look. Yesterday, my favorite band of all time lost their guitarist. He was a part of the band since the 80s, and there hasn't been a lineup change since about the mid-90s. And Phil Campbell stuck with the band all the way until the very end upon Lemmy's death. Of course, I'm talking about Motorhead. And sadly, yesterday, Phil Campbell, he passed away. In terms of just, chances are if you listen to a Motorhead song, there's a good chance you're probably listening to Phil Campbell on guitar. He was a real driving force in Motorhead. If you want to hear Phil Campbell at his absolute best, I heavily recommend something like Inferno, Motorizer, or perhaps The World Is Yours. These are a few albums I could think of to where it really showed off how good Motorhead is and how good Phil is as a guitarist. At least in my opinion. Kind of don't want to end this video on a downer, so I figured I'll probably go ahead and say this. Pretty much the last member standing of the final lineup would be Mikkey Dee. Mikkey Dee, he is actually now the drummer for the Scorpions. And when the Scorpions are in some downtime, I don't like how I worded this part, so what I meant to say was Mikkey Dee, he actually announced that he would be doing a solo tour, and he would bring in guest vocalists and other musicians to try and pay homage to Motorhead. So there is actually a little bit of a tour going on with Mikkey Dee, and there was a theory going around that maybe, hopefully, we would be able to see a mild reunion of Mikkey Dee and Phil Campbell sharing the stage maybe one last time. Sadly, as of yesterday, that is no longer possible. So any concerts that Mikkey Dee does solo, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do it with Phil Campbell. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the news broke on the X account to Phil Campbell and TBS. I believe that is Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. You could maybe even say it's maybe Phil Campbell and his literal sons. I think the only member that is not a Campbell is the vocalist, if I'm not mistaken. I actually never really listened to Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons. I feel like that's something I should probably do on my to-do list. They did like 3 posts back to back. If anything shakes and moves, and if there's like a tribute concert of some kind or something or another, I can't make any guarantees on if I would be able to catch it or not, but at the very least, I'm going to try my best to keep my ear to the ground and report back on anything in particular that comes up. Yeah, as a fan, I love Phil Campbell. He was amazing with Motorhead and the music that he helped create. It might sound like an over-exaggeration, but in big and small ways, I felt like it really impacted my own life to some degree. I know the heart and soul of Motorhead is Lemmy, but Lemmy couldn't have done it without a drummer and a guitarist. Phil kept the spirit and momentum of Motorhead alive. We probably did lose a good one, but at the very least, we now know that, at least with Lemmy, he ain't alone. And for Phil, he would be greatly missed.